So, and you just hit your space, collapses. You have this point. Infinitesimal surface. But still, infinite points. And I used to think, so yeah. And I used to think that that would be like some big jumble. But the other day, or this morning, it occurred to me that even on just a sphere, is our Planck particle, and if you have a photon, as I purport matter to be a photon trapped over its own Schwarzschild radius, so you have minima and maxima to the energy measured however which way you want. Oh, if you're on this side of time, you're the maxima. If you're on that side, you're the minima. Antimatter again. Okay, it all balances out. This is, well, actually, I guess this would be exactly halfway on the energy, because it's a wobbly universe. Minima and maxima. When you're right in the middle, there's no charge. Here, you have, let's call this minima. Infinite, a little ring there, any ring, any circle, infinite points of that energy, 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 infinite. Just like that. All of a sudden you can present that the entire surface of the universe contained on this egg relative to a lopsided center. This is why I love the cardioid. So, infinitesimal, all these paths passing by. These are sets of world lines having their moment and then passing on, which actually is surface change on this as if it was a bubble. I think seriously, a soap bubble and all the swirls on the soap bubble create the universe. I think is pretty much our best model. But soap bubble has a film. There's a film of now. One Planck in time. All these points, a field in synchrony. Thanks to Kuromoto model, this is how every point in the universe can share the same moment of time, so that we're all perfectly aligned, self-synchrony, all the parts of the universe. There we go. Okay, so now we have our moment of now. This is 2 pi. 2 pi. This is the matter universe. Here is the antimatter universe. Let's start with spin, chirality. So, here in the matter universe, things are going counterclockwise. Same particle, same spin. Here in the antimatter universe, things are going clockwise. Here, one of these balls twists sideways and starts to rotate this direction, becoming an inflow, becoming a divergence, a negative charge. Let's put the E there yet. Negative charge, which is a convergence on this side, which is positive charge. The universe is balanced at every point, every moment, through this simple mechanism. Okay? Every divergence has a convergence on this side. This is why for an electron, which is 3 axes of this, we'll get to that when we talk about particles and stuff, matches, right? Electrons, the electron charge is an inflow into our side to supply the fluid essentially needed to satisfy that inflow. Now, a proton has an extra mass unit attached to it, which is a photon, a negative component and a positive component, a negative component and positive component, negative component, positive component. This is a trapped one. This is a mass unit when it's trapped. Otherwise, a photon would flow like this. That would be a superfast particle that only took up 1 Planck, right? 2, 4 Planck. Okay, that's a really higher energy particle. Usually they stretch out for like acres. Here we go. Inflow, negative charge. Inflow, outflow for a long time. Inflow for a long time. Such as the wavelength. This is the wavelength. The wavelength is too short. You get trapped over your own point and you're just walking in circles. But okay, this is how I see the manifold. It's very simple. We're one layer of spin. This here, 90 degrees when it's all spinning, is the vacuum energy. It's invisible because it's all the photons 90 degrees. This is also what an event horizon is. It is us seeing the universe laid bare, and it's black because it's 90 degrees from us. The photons spin this way only when they get perturbed and get reoriented, so that instead of spinning flatly, so that we don't even know that they're there, suddenly they create inflows and outflows. And a neutrino is some kind of weird perturbation where the gyroscope is sending this particle spinning, tumbling, so that this axis, and there are 3 axes, this is only 1 axis, there's actually 3 of these planes simultaneously, 90 degrees to each other, like gyroscopes, and you perturb here. So now instead you've got an inflow for a little while, then an outflow for a little while. This is where the charge component is, so that we can detect a mass. Okay? An unperturbed neutrino. Perturbed neutrino is like going like this, tumbling in time and space, and that's why we get neutrino oscillation. But there are really only 2 kinds of neutrino. Ones that fundamentally spin this way, and ones that spin that way, relative to us. The neutrino and the antineutrino. One serves as a charge binding unit. It's like an in rotation. And the other one is an out rotation in our world. And of course, it's exactly the opposite in the antimatter world, because all chiralities are reversed, all charges are reversed. And this also means that the universe takes no energy at all to run, because for every this, there's a that. Conservation is even more profound than we ever initially imagined, I think. You know, we like to think there's charge over there, but there, for every bunch of electrons going through a wire, we've got compressed on a plate, you know, all that miss, of course, on the other side has a big vacuum on it that's trying to pull over here. Over here. But it all balances at every moment. These are just balls, and as soon as you tip this one, that means that this one is tipped equally on the opposite side. It's quite elegant and beautiful, actually. As with neutron decay cosmology, which of course everyone should go watch as well. And I think I'm going to do soon just a quick chart of how to make proton and neutron, electron, quarks, and how that all seems to like be something that we should be teaching children in kindergarten, honestly. Because the fundamental construction of that stuff, I think, will lead into atoms, and it will just make so much sense once we understand 3 axes are innate. This is why you cannot make, well, that's why none of these particles are going to last for very long. Okay, even when you balance charge, unless you have 3 axes, you aren't going to be stable. 4 axes is too much. The universe just likes that 3-axis thing. It's just a thing. Okay, and this is why time is not linear, because that sort of makes a 4th dimension, but time is a compact moment of now. Anyways, peace. Later. I hope it made any sense to anybody besides me.